everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Thank you for joining me today on my channel. Welcome. This is the piece that I did last week and I have finished quilting it. I know it's hard to believe that in any space of time, less than a year, I have completed a piece that I started in an exploration. And of course, I don't expect to finish everything that I'm exploring because some things I just don't like well enough to spend more time on it. May change my mind in the future. Sometimes I think I'm just tired of them and I can go back and enjoy them again. All I did was just trace the outline of this top of the steps, and you'll remember that although I designed it this direction, I ended up liking it better this direction, and it's called Watch Your Step. So because of the angles here, I had some pretty interesting quilting lines there. For here, I just followed the angle of this riser, and then because the angle changes between these two risers, then I had to gradually adjust the lines. So these are not perpendicular lines. They are following the line here and then sort of easing their way into the angle of the line next to them. I opted to not quilt over the red here, which gives them a little more accent. The black, the steps are not quilted either. And I opted to applique on the circles after I did the quilting because I didn't want the quilting lines to break that up. I really wanted it to be more of a background. So it was not, well, it wasn't that bad actually. I was going to say it's not the most fun applique I've ever done, but it really wasn't that bad. I was worried because the quilting is fairly dense that it was going to be a problem, but it wasn't. And I used a monopoly thread to do it so that it wouldn't show the stitches as much. So overall, I'm really happy with this piece. I like it a lot. I've been waiting to decide if I want to bind it in white and probably put in just a little bit of black so that this whole design extends, or to face it. I think I'm going to try facing it. I admit that for myself, I like to bind, honestly, and I like the look of a sort of frame around it, even if it's just matching the background and having a little piece coming out there, a little piece of black in the binding so that it matches. There's just something about that. I'm old and been quilting for 50 years and binding's a thing. But I may try facing this one. We'll see. Right now I'm leaning a little more toward facing, but still, I don't know. So that is that. And this week I had it all planned, what I was going to do. I sat down to do it and I just cannot motivate myself to do it. It's not that I don't like the idea. It's just I don't feel like doing it. So we will do it another day. I think I just want to sit down and do some curves and see where that takes us. Just do an improv thing. If improv's not your thing, it may bore you to tears, and I'll forgive you if you decide you want to bail out on this. But I want to just do some curves, try different ways to put them together and other things that we might do with them. So I'm just going to have a curvy day today and invite you to join me. I'll understand if you bail. So today I had something else planned, but I changed my mind, which I've been doing a lot lately. And I've decided Memorial Day is coming up in a couple of days here in the US, and I want to honor that by making just a simple Poppies quilt. I will do it on the white background. The stems will be black just for the sake of contrast or the overall design. And then the poppies will just be circles of various reds and various sizes. And then the centers of the poppies will be black and white circles, dots of various types. And these stems are going to be varying widths and spaced irregularly, and then the flowers will just be placed on it. Now, I have plans for this to be quite long so that it's a large field, but I don't know yet how long, and I certainly won't get all the way through today, but just to give some idea of how it's going to look. So first off, I'm going to start splicing this background white and putting in some black strips in all of that. As I'm starting on this, I'm thinking that I want to break up these pieces so they won't be striped all the way up and down. That some of them will be up here, some down, and stagger them. Some will be all the way through, but I want a little more variety in the back other than just a stripe. So I'll be cutting some strips of the white to add on to here. I think this is enough to give me an idea whether or not it's going to work as I think it's going to. So I'm ready to do some red circles with the method that I use, which is basically just stitching around a circle and then drawing it up around a template. I need to cut some circles of various sizes and then these red pieces, and I'll review quickly how I do that process. That's the way that I like to applique. Even if I'm going to applique by machine sometimes, I'll show you an example of that in a moment, I still like to have that finished edge sometimes, not always. And I may also want to pad the poppies a little. So this method will allow me to do that pretty easily, I think. So I am off to cut some circle templates out of some cardstock. I have cut some circles out of just a manila file folder. I use these circle templates that I have for long arm quilting, but you could use any round surface just to, you could use a compass, bottom of a bottle. In fact, I might use this for a center, the bottom of a spool of thread, whatever, to make a circle. And then because I want these to be padded, I have also cut a circle of batting, which is just under the size of this circle. Then I cut a piece of fabric in a circle that is larger. That's what, probably quarter, 5/8 of an inch, 5/8, 3/8 of an inch larger all around. It doesn't have to be perfect circle, but make it close. It will be neater in the end. Okay, so then I stitched around. When I started my thread, I started it on the right side. You'll see why in a minute. Stitched all the way around. They don't have to be teeny tiny stitches, but don't make them big honking stitches because then you'll get pleats in your fabric. So now I'm going to place my circle with the batting facing down on the wrong side. And this is a double thread that I have here. This is just what I use for sewing on my machine. I've got it doubled just for strength. And when I stitched this and got around to the end, I also ended with it on the right hand side and about, a stitch width away from the beginning knot or thread. Now I do it on the right side because I'm going to start drawing this up like I would a yo-yo, and I'm just drawing it up around this template, which gives me that circle. And I wanted the thread to start and end on the right side because now this is where I'm pulling on it. If it was on the other side, I would be trying to deal with it from underneath. Now I'm going to hold it down while I take a stitch and make a knot. And I don't usually knot up the thread before it gets there. Of course, since I'm doing it on camera, it's going to do this, right? All right, I will fix this and come back. Fixed it. You can even sort of scrunch this around to adjust it so it's a little more even. You can see here that I didn't make a perfect circle, but it's okay. So now it's gathered up and I have this nice padded thing. It's kind of like a covered button, I guess, except that you don't have the piece that pushes down in there. So now I'm going to press this well, possibly use some, not starch, what do I want to say, best press, flatter, whatever, so that I keep that nice edge. And then I can pull this cardboard out, just reach in there and pull it out. And then it is ready to applique onto my piece. I could do it either by hand or by machine. I think I'm probably going to do it by hand just because I enjoy applique and I wouldn't mind having a little bit of hand piecing work to do. So I'm going to go through and do some different sizes here just to kind of see how it's going to work. And I will do the same thing then for the centers that I'm making out of the black and white dotted fabric, and they will of course be smaller than the flowers that they're sitting on. I have been working on padded circles for a while, and I think it will be enough to kind of get the gist of what I'm after. So if I bring up this piece, which will need some more pressing, but we'll get there. And then I want to just randomly place these. Now, one of the ways that you can handle the oak tag still being in the back is to applique it onto this surface with the tag still in there, then go to the background to trim it out and pull out that piece of cardstock. I have done that before. I think it makes the background a little less sturdy, shall we say, not as stable as it would be if you were to, just leave it, take the cardboard out first. But it's an option. Now I have to think about, I don't know that this is exactly how I'll arrange it. They don't need to be right on top of a stem by any stretch. I want to make sure I don't have any diagonal lines going any direction. This is the kind of thing when you are working on a repeat pattern for fabric, you have to think about this kind of stuff. All right, so I'll put that over there for the moment. There would be more black strips over here. But now this is just one black center that I could put in there, and I'm thinking maybe some yellow beads in the center then as well. This is a little large for the other sizes, but probably see it better in one of those. So what I have decided about this is similar to what I did with Watch Your Step, and that is to do the quilting first and then applique these. So that means I can't do the cut out the back and pull out the oak tag. So I'm going to make these units first. Well, I will quilt this, probably just straight lines. And then I will make these units first. So I will applique this onto this larger piece. I can even stitch, well, let me think about this. If I'm going to stitch some beads on, I will probably do that before I attach this. Then I will attach that. I'll be taking out the oak tag on each one. These do not have to be perfectly centered either, but I don't want them too far off. I do want them to look like the center of a flower. Let me grab something that's a little easier to see. It's not the right size, but, and then I can make sure I've got a good solid edge around here, pull out the oak tag on that one and applique it on the piece here. Now, a couple of things that I thought about as I was doing these is it might be kind of interesting to have sort of a shadow on them. Speaking of shadows, let me close the curtain here. Sun came, oops, nope, it's so late that it's actually coming from the bay window. enjoy the sunshine, is that I could do like a shadow effect on these. So kind of piece them so that they're got to have a darker fabric on one side. So that is an option. I think I might do a few that are larger so that they're kind of a focal point. And I think maybe I will do one of those right now and come back with it so you can see. These are different sizes, but it's difficult to tell that they are. See, there is a diagonal again. This will drive you absolutely up a wall if you are trying to do a repeat pattern and place various icons and motifs on it. So I'm going to do one that's a larger, and in that case I would probably end up doing 3 that are larger. And of course it could be a larger piece than what I have here as well. So I'm going to do one larger one so you can kind of see what that would look like if we add in a larger piece here. Sorry about the neighbors mowing. We had 7 inches of rain in one night last week, so grass is growing very fast. Lots of people out mowing. All right, here's a larger poppy, and I like it much better when I've got that very great contrast in size. Here's another size that I might add in. And I will spend my life rearranging these so we don't have obvious patterns. But this is terrible. I will go away soon so that you don't have to watch me fuss over this. But I think it is much better with that contrast in size. I don't want these to be too close to the size of the poppy because the center of the poppy just isn't going to be that large. So at least this one we can kind of see how it looks. I'm also thinking when I quilt, well, another thing is these could overlap potentially, I thought, but I'm not sure about that now. The other thing I was thinking about is when I quilted, which I'll do in just matchstick straight lines, is perhaps do just some wandering quilting in sort of a wavy vine-like pattern. I know poppies aren't vines, but that will give it sort of the look of the green on the stems and the leaves, even though we aren't going to have any leaves. This makes it look like a musical note, so I won't do that. And, you know, I'll fuss about this another time, but that's my plan. Do the quilting first and then add these on as completed units. That will be it for this week. I hope to see you next week. I'm not sure what I'm doing next week. I keep changing my mind when I sit down to do the videos, so we'll just have to see where the spirit takes me next week. I hope I will see you then. In the meantime, be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.